Hey everyone, I'm Nito King and it's questing time, so let's get the hell out of hell and get on with it. Of course, I'm sure we'll be back once we actually start doing some quests, but for right now, let's enjoy our freedom. Oh, and also I guess it would be interesting to see what O'Connell has to say about me seeing the video. Yeah, as it turns out, it doesn't seem like anybody actually cares that I've seen the video. You know, normally if I do something plot related, then that changes what people will say to me, but in this case, nobody seems any the wiser. And O'Connell wasn't at all disturbed to see me come out of his house when I never went in the first place. At least while he was watching. Let's see, Suzette isn't waiting by the cave anymore, so I guess she must have gone home. Maybe she'll have something at least different to say. I've already watched the video. He doesn't need to let me do anything. Alright, let's just go back to the pub and get on with the quests. I think there have been more and more quests each chapter, so we should have no shortage of things to do. Well, alright, no regular daytime quests. What do we got for download content? Ah, we've got a quest for the first time. And presumably we just go through each of the 3 doors. And do whatever. Well, this doesn't sound too difficult. We've dealt with memory stones before, plenty of times. So it's basically the folklore equivalent of lights out. You break a crystal, all the adjacent crystals either break or reappear, depending on whether they're there or not. And this guy tells us that we can leave the room to reset the puzzle. Shouldn't be necessary, though. There's always a straightforward solution, and this is a standard 3x3 puzzle, which is a known solution. Basically, you just have to break the center crystal and each of the corner crystals, and the puzzle's finished. I do kind of like the way they use this particular room, where it's already coded that, you know, once you defeat everything in the room, if you've done it the wrong way, then you'll just reappear in the same room. And here they've used it to implement this puzzle. So that was pretty easy. Alright, well, if it's a 2x2 puzzle, then just breaking each crystal in turn should solve it. Oh, okay, it's just the 3x3 puzzle, but in the state it would be in if you'd already smashed the center one. So you just break each of the 4 corners in turn, and puzzle solved. The last one, of course, will be a little bit less straightforward. Of course, having thought about it afterwards, I know what the solution is. You can solve it in 5 moves, I think. So here's your 6-piece puzzle. If you break that front center crystal, then that'll put it into the state that the 3x3 is in once you break the front left crystal, and then you've just got to break the center and the remaining 3 corners. Of course, that didn't occur to me at the time, so obviously here I am just trying to blunder my way through by randomly breaking crystals. You can guess that this isn't a particularly viable strategy. And I'm slowing it down here because at this point, if you look at it, you break the center crystal on the left side, and that back crystal on the right, and that solves the puzzle in 2 moves. I didn't notice that. So, back to blundering. I didn't really have a strategy in mind for this particular iteration. I'm just trying to brute force a solution here, and then I finally gave up and reset the puzzle. So, thinking about it a little more intelligently for the second run, I realized I don't need to solve the puzzle, I just need to get it into a state from which I can solve it. So, if I can break crystals strategically and end up with a position that I know how to solve, then I'm pretty much done. All I have to do is solve that known position. We're getting close. If it weren't for that corner piece, then I'd have a solution. But now, we've got 3 corners, and once I break this corner, we've got that same formation without the crystal in the corner. And I just have to break the 2 that aren't on the corners, and I'm done. It's a bit easier when you've got a strategy in mind, even easier if you're paying attention to what you're doing. 1 out of 2 ain't bad. So there we go. We've solved 1 of the 3 doors in this quest. So this is the realm where we actually get to do some fighting. I kind of wanted to see what would happen if I break the crystals, but I can't use Puka here. You can probably imagine the blue stone room is the same as the green stone room, but it moves the blue stone. I think the point of that is you don't entirely lose the quest if you get killed here, which would be a pain because you'd have to redo the other doors. So we need to move the blue crystal. And it said that how much it moves depends on which folks we defeat, so I'll set up a palette of folks that are actually going to be useful. And try just defeating one folk and see what that does. So I defeated a Berlachen, and the crystal moves 2 spaces. I need to move it 5 more spaces. Kill the Thrumpen, and that's 1 space. So I need 4 more spaces. I could either defeat the Berlachen twice, or Berlachen and Thrumpen on one run, and then just Thrumpen on the next one. So a pretty simple puzzle just to get us used to the mechanics of this particular type of puzzle. And the exit is over by where the red crystal is. It's kind of easy to get lost when you don't have the same marker crystals that you did when Habitraut was here. So pretty much the same thing, but now we go into the other room, and we have to move the green crystal 9 positions. So Thrumpen and Berlachen are the same as they were before. Gallybeggar's new, so I want to see how many spaces this moves the clock. Capturing it while both of the other folks were still alive probably wasn't the best idea, but that moved it 5 positions, so we need 4 more. And we've already solved that problem. So I'll just do it the same way that I did for the blue hand in the previous room. Yeah, so take a guess what the final challenge is going to be. I bet you'll never figure it out. One of? Yep, now we gotta move both hands. So we gotta move the green one, it looks like 11 spaces, and the blue one 2. And this will be the green one to start with. So Padfoot's new. Let's see what that one does. That's 3 spaces. Need 8 more. So I kill the Padfoot, and I kill the Galley Beggar. And if I've somehow miscounted, then I can always just come back and catch the Thrumpin, and that'll be good for 1 hour. Or 5 minutes, whichever it is. Nope. We're all done with the green room. Now it's just a matter of the blue, and of course, you know there's not going to be any folks that do less than 2. So we're going to have to go all the way around. First things first, we haven't actually captured an answerer before, so I need to see how many hours that one moves it. Staying alive really isn't too much of a problem here. Okay, so answerer does 4, we need 10 more. Let's see, it was 3 for Padfoot, 4 for Galley Beggar, almost had it. Answerer got me. Alright, just kill it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Galley Beggar was 5, so I managed to get it all the way back to the beginning. But now I've got a more accurate count. I need to move it 14 hours total. So if I do it in 2 lots of 7 by capturing Answerer and Thrumpin each time, or no Thrumpin, Padfoot, that should be precisely half of what I need. So I go back in, capture another Answer Padfoot combo. Remember Barrager being quite effective against Answerer. I probably should have gone for an Earth Elemental attack, but that got the job done. And second door complete. And those were the easy 2 rooms. Yeah, before I go into the last door, I want to heal up. Fortunately, it does let me heal up, even though the clock door was the only one where health matters. Oh, great. Some kind of combination, I guess. You know, the only reason I got that lights out puzzle was because I wasn't being timed. Well, the good news is, you get as many tries at this quest as you need. The bad news is, you're probably going to need a whole bunch of them. Because I'm using one of the most difficult folks to aim against things that I can't target. I'm doing this in double speed, so yes, the timer's counting down pretty quickly. Hitting all the memory stones on the ground isn't too hard. Hitting the ones up high, a bit trickier, because I don't think the explosion goes high enough to hit them. You actually have to hit them with the cannonball as it's flying up. And I don't even think that last shot that I didn't get off was actually going to hit it. This is the worst part of the quest by far. And remember, all three of these challenges, all three of the doors, are all a single quest. I mean, yeah, you paid to download this, you certainly get what you paid for. I just wish I could figure out how to shoot straight, but I barely made it. Of course, they always come in threes. Yeah, I'd hope I'd be able to use more folks, because I can't break yellow or red memory stones with Gargantua. Nor blue, which it failed to mention, but they are in this challenge as well. And it's going to give me one of the worst folks for each of those elements. And granted, here I am trying to use Gargantua, which is a big mistake, because the white ones I can break with any of the folks that I've got, and both Volcano and Habitrot are pretty useful for that. Problem is I keep forgetting which button, because I'm not used to having an attack folk on my X button. Yeah, I couldn't quite get the last couple. It took me a few tries, but I finally realized you really want to go for the most opportune targets first. That was just kind of a happy coincidence I managed to get those three. And then over here, this is where you've just got one crystal of each element. And again, I can't remember which element is on which button when it comes time to actually aim, until I've run completely out of MC when I try to break the red crystal. The real problem is I haven't used Excedra very much, so I haven't really learned how to aim it properly. But if you've got enough time, any one crystal isn't too difficult. Yep, it's disappearing, reappearing crystals this time. Actually, I think this one might be a little easier than the previous one, just because the crystals will stay in one spot for a little longer and not constantly be moving. I mean, these are moving, but it's a pretty easy pattern to get the measure of, and I just really need to learn the actual distance at which Habitrot's attack functions. So, I abandon that group and go over to check out the other challenges. Got all three of those pretty quickly. Sort of surprising. Don't ask me why I'm even still using Gargantua for that. And I didn't expect Excedra's attack to stick around and do splash damage for as long as it did. And I finally get that one, but the one that I left behind bites me in the butt. See it again, it took me 3 tries to figure this one out. But again, using the most convenient folk for the white crystals just really helps out. And that was just a brilliant example of poor timing. And poor aim, frankly. You just can't really tell where the crystals are vertically. The shadows are misleading. I think if that one hadn't hit the red crystal, it actually would have hit the blue one and destroyed it. Yet again, out of MC when I go for the red crystal. But this time, I've got plenty of time to target that yellow one. And finally, we're done with everything. And that's it. That's the reward for doing all of that, is 15 yellow dust. This quest was thoroughly unrewarding. Join me next time for some nighttime quests, which will be much better.